Laboratory National Quality Infrastructure. Engineer Ruiz is an electrical engineer by profession, working in the field of metrology at ITDI, DOST, since 1986, specializing in high accuracy electrical measurements. He held various posts at the National Metrology Lab, which included being the project leader of the Laboratory Proficiency Evaluation Project, which in 2000 pioneered proficiency testing programs in the field of metrology in the country. He became the quality manager of Manuel, responsible for preparing its first ever quality system policy manual and operations manual. Engineer Ruiz is a member of the several Philippine NQI committees and working groups of the DTI. He is a country representative to the Asia Pacific Metrology Program Technical Committee on Electricity and Magnetism, and also to the Technical Committee on Time and Frequency. So let's give a big round of applause to, let's welcome, Engineer Manuel Ruiz. Thank you.
I purposely requested a change in the sequence of presentations para mas tuloy-tuloy ang kwento ng 3 pillars of the NQI. Thank you again, and good morning, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of the National Metrology Laboratory of the Industrial Technology Development Institute, Department of Science and Technology, I thank the organizers of this forum for inviting us today. So, to begin, let's have a basic understanding of the core concepts of NQI and metrology. So, my presentation for this morning will cover these topics. I'll give you a brief explanation of the national quality infrastructure, followed by an introduction of metrology. Then we'll also be talking about the place and the role that the national metrology plays in the NQI. Then I will also be discussing the impact of the services that we provide across the various sectors. And then I will be also talking about the integration of Philippine metrology in the international state of affairs. Then towards the end, I will be talking of the challenges and the future trends that are being faced by the National Metrology Laboratory. And we'll conclude with a few words of asking for your support for the metrology in general and the National Metrology Laboratory. So what is the NQI? The previous speakers have already described this term, but I will still be telling you what NQI is all about. So it is really a system of interrelated organizations and policies and activities that work collectively to provide a framework for ensuring quality of goods and services. As you will see later, NQI is not only about quality that is necessary for industrial competitiveness and economic development and growth. NQI also promotes consumer protection, health and safety, and even environmental sustainability. So NQI is made up of 3 give three key pillars: standardization, which consists of the development and implementation of standards. Second, accreditation, which is the assessment and recognition of the competence of organizations to provide conformity assessment services. And the third, metrology, which is the science of measurement. So what is metrology? Metrology is the science of measurement. It is not meteorology, which is the study of the weather and of the atmosphere. Although meteorology uses metrology in monitoring weather conditions. Metrology is the field of knowledge that's concerned with measurements, so that anything and everything that has to do with measurements falls under the scope of metrology. Metrology, however, is not only about just taking measurements. It also includes the administration, the control of measurements, and the regulation of measurement instruments and their proper use. So the NML is at the heart of the NQI. It is the National Authority on Measurements. So the key functions of the National Metrology Laboratory are: 1. Establishing and maintaining standards. So the NML is the custodian of national measurement standards. We establish and maintain national standards for the country that are traceable to the international system of units. Traceability in this context means that our national measurement standards have also been calibrated and can be traced back and related to the international system of units. Traceability of measurements ensures that measurements are compatible and comparable across industries and across national and international borders. A boat that is manufactured in the Philippines must also be of the same size or measurement as the not manufactured in Japan to be usable, for example, in the EU. Calibration of instruments is another key function of the NML. The NML calibrates measuring instruments to ensure that they are accurate and they are consistent with other measuring instruments, whether they may be locally or internationally. A further key function that is performed by the NML is training. The NML shares and transfers its measurement expertise and best practices to industries and organizations through training courses that it conducts regularly. NML disseminates not only measurement standards, but also best practices to industries and organizations. Another key function of the NML is proficiency testing through calibration inter-laboratory comparisons. The NML circulates an instrument to calibration laboratories for calibration. The results obtained by these calibration laboratories must agree with the reference values that are provided by the NML. This scheme therefore effectively determines the competence or the capability of laboratories in providing accurate results. R&D, research and development, is also another key function of the NML. The NML conducts research to advance measurement techniques and technologies. The NML, through its metrology in chemistry section, conducts method validation for the determination of the amount of chemical elements in certain samples and produces reference materials for the said determinations. Traceability is essential in ensuring comparability and acceptance of industrial measurements across borders. I now give you two examples. So example number one. Did you know that a single car can have as many as 30,000 parts if we count down to the smallest screw, washer, bolt or nut. And did you ever wonder why all of these parts fit together when they are assembled, even if they are produced in different factories in yet different countries? So this means that industrial parts can be made interoperable and interchangeable because the measurements used are traceable to one measurement standard provided either by the NML or by its counterparts, NMIs, in other countries. Second example of traceability being essential for ensuring compatibility and acceptance of measurements across borders, specifically international trade and cross-country regulatory compliance. Do you remember that our Lucky Me noodles was banned in Europe because of trace amounts of pesticide compound ethylene oxide in the noodles product? With the use of measurement standards that are traceable to international standards, Philippine food exporting companies, like for example Lucky Me, are able to confirm that the amount of trace contaminants present in their food exports are within limits that are regulated or prescribed by importing countries. So the end result, metrological traceability not only ensures health and safety, but also facilitates export trade. The NML now produces reference materials for the determination of trace elements in chemical contaminants in food and water that are traceable to the international system of units. So whether they are physical, chemical, or biological measurements, the NML provides the framework and expertise needed to establish metrological traceability. The role of the NML extends across many sectors and just cannot be overemphasized. In industry, for example, quality control is dependent on accurate measurements. Measurement is the first step that leads to control and eventually to product improvement. There's a saying that says, if you cannot control it, then you cannot improve it. So the NML supports the measurement requirements of the industry through its calibration services and the sharing of its measurement expertise through its training courses. Fair trade, fair commercial transactions and consumer protection are ensured through standardized measurements that are provided by the NML. With standardized measurements, consumers get the correct amount for what he pays, while the seller supplies only the quantity that is paid for. Accurate measurements also saves lives and promotes health and well-being. Measurements tells us about our health conditions. Routine measurements like, for example, blood pressure measurement are the basis of doctors in prescribing the right amount of medication. So the NML helps the biomedical industry to adopt and use test methods that are recommended internationally, like for example, the International Organization for Legal Metrology for verifying diagnostic medical equipment like sphygmomanometers that measure blood pressure. Measurements also define safety limits. Measurement tells us the tensile strength of steel reinforcement bars that are used in construction of houses and buildings. The NML performs calibration of tensile and compression testing machines of materials testing laboratories that test compliance of construction materials to mandatory regulatory requirements. Protection of the environment and the preservation of our natural resources is made possible through measurement and monitoring of pollution and climate change indicators. The NML performs calibration of pH meters and conductivity meters to monitor the acidity or alkalinity and the amount of dissolved solids in wastewater discharged by commercial establishments and industrial plants. The penalties that are imposed for violating laws are also based on measurements. So did you know that a measurement inaccuracy of just plus minus 1 gram can spell the difference between plain imprisonment and life imprisonment? Because as the Dangerous Drugs Act states, life imprisonment and a fine ranging from 400,000 to 500,000 if the quantity of shabu is 10 grams or more. So NML has shared its measurement expertise to PDEA on proper weighing procedures and techniques to ensure that evidence in drug-related cases are adequately and properly measured. Then, of course, advancing scientific knowledge is only made possible through accurate collection of measurement data. Research and development laboratories rely on the NML for the calibration and traceability requirements of their measuring instruments and equipment. And one of the most important contributions of metrology to government is the correct valuation of taxes. The evaluation of the amount of taxes for both government and business is ensured through metrology and its accompanying measurements. Government collects excise tax based on measurement of weight or volume of either locally produced or imported products, like, for example, alcohol, petroleum products, and mineral products. So NML performs on-site calibration of flow meters that are used in fuel depots for transfer of custody measurement of liquid petroleum products, which is the basis for excise tax collected by government. And we are very proud to say that NML was able to devise a remote calibration scheme during the height of the pandemic, just so the service remains uninterrupted. So international recognition of NML's measurement abilities is indispensable for facilitating acceptance of test results and certificates across borders. So for this purpose, the National Metrology Laboratory has its calibration and measurement services accredited under the terms of ISO IEC 17025 by the German accreditation body DOST. The NML is a signatory to the CIPM, Global Mutual Recognition Agreement, or MRA, among National Metrology Institutes for international equivalence of measurement standards and the calibration and measurement certificates that are issued. So after a thorough and lengthy assessment and review process, we have 33 calibration and measurement capabilities that have been recognized under this MRA scheme. This recognition means that our 33 calibration and measurement capabilities are compatible and acceptable with the rest of the metrology community of countries. So with its big role in the NQI, the NML also has the following accompanying challenges that the test to overcome and deal with. The NML is and will always face difficulty in addressing needs of various industries with unique measurement requirements. The kind, the type, the range, the breadth and depth of measurements is endless and without bounds, and catering to each and every measurement need it's a practical impossibility. Keeping up with rapid technological advancements and changes has also remained a big challenge for us. As soon as a facility upgrade is made, it's almost immediately made obsolete by advancements in technology. I would want to point out a case in the NML where our photometry laboratory for measurement of light output of incandescent bulbs and tubular fluorescent lamps was established when compact fluorescent lamps were already being phased in. And not soon after, LED lamps with very different measurement requirements were replacing the compact fluorescent lamps, effectively making our photometry facility virtually obsolete. Also ensuring adequate financial support and human resources is a difficult challenge to hurdle. My laboratory, the NML, is given only a measly 3.7 million amount per year, which can barely cover the cost of calibration of its standards abroad, membership fees in international and regional metrology organizations, accreditation fees, and training expenses. Equipment and facility upgrade is only experienced once every 10 or 15 years, and only through a DOST granting aid project or program, and not from the regular GAA funds of its mother institute, the ITDI. Also, government has given low priority to funding metrology due to low appreciation of the benefits derived from metrology and accurate measurements. The NML has been lobbying for a bill to modernize the national metrology infrastructure for 3 presidential administrations now. We have made big progress at the House of Representatives, but we are facing a steep uphill climb at the Senate. So to keep the NML relevant in the future, it must keep abreast with these future trends. First is quantum metrology. SI units, International System of Units, they are now defined in terms of invariant universal constants of nature that are based on quantum principles and technology. Developing advanced measurement techniques based on quantum principles involves not only expensive and specialized equipment, but also need highly qualified scientists with graduate degrees for their operation. Automation and AI is second trend that the NML faces. The NML still has a low degree of implementation of AI and automated measurements, but it's mainly due to lack of personnel for its implementation. So that although the Philippines has a strong and large pool of computer software professionals, NML does not have the computer positions for them. Metrology and chemistry, biometrology, health and biomedical areas. These are the new critical areas that NML needs to acquire measurement capabilities and expertise, but with great difficulty because of lack of resources, man, money, and machines. So, in summary and in conclusion, the National Metrology Laboratory is at the backbone of the NQI. It ensures trust, accuracy, and reliability in measurements, which significantly impact multiple sectors. Recognition of its calibration and measurement capabilities at the international level is important. And addressing challenges and embracing future trends will shape the evolution and future of the NML. So therefore, I encourage you to join us in our mission, and let's work together to ensure accurate measurements, promote fair trade, and support metrology for a better national quality infrastructure. So I enjoyed you to explore the NML and learn more of who we are and the services that we provide at nml.gov.ph. So from the National Metrology Laboratory, thank you for your kind attention.
Thank you very much, Engineer Ruiz. So again, may I remind you, please save your question. We have one more speaker.